by reading you guys a poem that I wrote at the beginning of the school year. And it's called The Life of Insanity Among the Painfully Sane. I am lost and alone in the insanity of my own mind. But in reality, I'm not all alone. He is there, whispering to me, telling me to do bad things. But I ignore him until the pain is too much to bear and tears no longer stain my eyes. That's when I take the cold blade to my wrist. My heart cries out, telling me to stop. But he whispers to me once again, one cut and it will be all right. The pain will go away. The emptiness will be gone. One is never enough. Soon I have 5, and that should be enough, right? But enough is never enough. And as I lay there on my bed, my arms lightly dotted with red, I feel a tear cross over my eyelids. And that's when I know that the process is about to start all over again. It's just the life of insanity among the painfully sane world. That is what depression feels like to me. And I want to talk to you guys about it because college students tend to experience a lot of stress. And stress is one of the main factors in depression, or what can trigger depression itself. And if you haven't guessed, the reason why I am able to tell you this is because I have dealt with depression since I was in middle school, and probably even my elementary school years if I were to look back on it. And so I want to show you what depression also feels like to me. This little rock right here is me. And usually I'm sitting right here on top of the water. It's water representing my life. But there are some times when you know there's one thing that goes wrong and then everything goes wrong until I feel like I'm at the bottom. And there's no way to get back up. And there's nowhere else to go, but I just feel like it's the end of the world to me. And so I think the only way people can really understand depression, obviously they felt before, is if they knew truly what depression is, because there's a lot of stereotypes of what people think they are. But along with that, all people also need to think about self-harm and suicide, two of the main final resort aspects of depression. So first, the definition, the true meaning. If you ask many people, they will talk about it as a bad day, or not having a bunch of things going on in your life. But it's a lot different than that. It's a lot more than that. The National Institute of Mental Health defines depression as a common but serious mental disorder. They also go on to say that it causes severe symptoms that can harm how you think, how you feel, and even how you handle day-to-day life. And that's really big because people don't think about it. Someone doesn't come to class, it's not big, but it can feel really big to that person. And along with just having that true reason, there are a bunch of different factors for it. And the National Institute of Mental Health also says that current research suggests that depression can be caused by a combination of genetic, biological, environmental, and psychological factors. And nobody ever thinks of it being just genetic or something outside the world can do to you or cause someone, but it really is, and it's really weird to think about. And so now I want to talk to you about one of the factors of depression, what depression can lead to if not treated. That would be self-harm and self-mutilation. And many of you will know common forms of it, some of the few generic ones you might hear about. But those aren't just it. And there's also things that self-harm can lead to, and it's not just suicide, because we'll get to that. But there are many forms of self-harm. You guys may know of cutting or scratching, because those are some of the most common. But if you read on the Mayo Clinic site, they say that there are many symptoms, other forms such as burning yourself, pulling out your hair, or even excessively picking at your skin or your scabs. And along with that, if you hear people talk about self-harm, they talk about numbness that they feel. But some people don't get better with self-harm, and it can lead to even more dangerous situations, such as what the Center of Disease Control says as it lists, smoking, alcohol consumption, and physical inactivity. And alone, those are nothing. They're just, things people do for fun or whatever. But they can lead to serious things called like cancer and other disorders that in someone who's already depressive, it could be deadly. And that's where I'm going to talk about my third and final factor, which is suicide, the last resort of a depressive disorder. And when people say, if you hear everyone talk about suicide, they talk about not having anywhere else to go or anything. And the Mayo Clinic also states some of these suicide warning signs, like getting means of taking your own life by like buying a gun suddenly, or stockpiling your pills, or saying goodbye to people almost suddenly, or even more than that, changing your normal routines, sleeping or eating at a different time. And people alone might not realize what's going on. They may just think this person is just being different because, but it can be life-threatening. And besides that, if you have someone in your life, that will change it. That will change so many people if suicide happens. It doesn't just happen to one change a person or family. It changes a lot of people in their lives. And so I want to tell you guys that if you have these feelings, or if you know anyone, talk to them. Talk to someone yourself. Because if that stress is too much to you, I don't want anything bad happening to you guys. Because it will affect a lot of people in the long run. Thank you.